This episode of the Endpoints of View podcast is brought to you by SentryBay, home of the armored client, the world's most advanced endpoint protection.
You know, it's like they say the world's more connected than ever, and, well, that's true. Especially for cybercrime. It's a borderless world, for the bad guys. And knowing where the digital danger zones are, it's more crucial now than ever, I think.
Absolutely.
That's where this World Cybercrime Index comes in. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, fascinating stuff.
It's fascinating, right. It's like, imagine a heat map, but instead of weather patterns, it's showing you the hottest spots for cybercrime.
The digital hotspots.
Exactly. And I think some of the names on this list won't really come as a surprise.
Right, it's true. This index, it gives us a fascinating look at the global landscape of cybercrime.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more than just a list, right? It doesn't just list countries with high cybercrime rates. It tries to dig deeper and understand why certain areas become, breeding grounds for this stuff.
It's about the why. So this isn't just some random ranking system.
Oh, absolutely not. This index, it's the culmination of a very thorough, 3-year research project. And get this, it involved experts from top institutions like Oxford, UNSW, Canberra, even Monash University and Sciences Po. But here's where it gets really interesting. They didn't just rely on data, just crunching numbers. They went straight to the source.
Oh, wow.
They talked to 92, can you believe that? 92 of the world's leading cybercrime specialists. The people who deal with these threats day in and day out.
So they got the inside scoop. But, cybercrime, it's such a broad term. Did they narrow their focus at all?
They did. The study really honed in on 5 major categories of cybercrime. So first up, you've got technical product services. Think of it like the digital equivalent of selling lockpicks to criminals.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, things like malware coding, access to botnets, the tools of the trade.
The digital underworld's online marketplace.
Gotcha. Okay. What else is in the mix? Next, you've got attacks and extortion. This one's pretty self-explanatory. You're talking about things like denial of service attacks, ransomware. Yeah, the kind of stuff that disrupts businesses globally and makes headlines.
Yes, nasty business. What else did they look at?
Okay, so then there's data identity theft. Now, this one covers everything from the more sophisticated hacking and phishing to just straight-up account takeovers and good old-fashioned credit card fraud.
It's close to home.
It does. This one affects pretty much everyone.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got the tools and the attacks. What else is on the list?
Well, then, there are scams. This category is all about those classic scams. Advance fee fraud, business email compromise, online auction fraud, you name it. You see, tricking people out of their hard-earned money has been happening for centuries, but the digital age, well, it's like it's given them a whole new playing field.
Yeah. And last but not least,
cashing out money laundering. This is all about how these criminals convert their ill-gotten gains into usable funds, right? Credit card fraud, money mules, shady cryptocurrency platforms. It's how they turn stolen data into cold, hard cash.
So they've really covered the entire spectrum of cybercrime. The tools, the techniques, the methods of actually making a profit from it. But why break it down like this? What's the significance of these specific categories?
It's all about understanding the specialization, I think, within these cybercrime ecosystems. It's not just a few lone wolves in basements anymore. We're talking sophisticated networks with specialized roles. You don't think of it like a business, right? Albeit a very illegal one, but with different departments, all working towards a common goal, making money illegally.
Okay, so we've got this bird's eye view of the cybercrime landscape, all its different specializations, right? But let's get to what everyone wants to know. The hotspots. Where are these digital dens of villainy?
Well, like I was saying earlier, some of the names on this list won't surprise you. The UK, for instance, comes in at number 8.
Number 8, okay.
Which is significant, yeah, but perhaps not totally unexpected. I mean, considering their tech infrastructure.
Right, a prime target.
Unfortunately, yeah.
So who else made the top 10? Give us the rundown.
Let's see. We've got Ukraine at number 7. A nation facing, its own unique challenges, but still a big player in the cybercrime world.
Right.
China and the USA, both with those massive digital footprints, come in at number 6 and 5, respectively. And rounding out the top 6, you've got Nigeria and Romania, both countries with those, rapidly evolving digital landscapes, makes them prime targets.
Interesting. It's a mix of, well, some expected and some unexpected, but no huge shockers just yet. Drumroll, please. Who takes the crown?
Yeah.
Number 1 cybercrime hotspot, according to this index.
It's Russia.
Russia. Wow. Okay, that's a big statement. And it really makes you wonder about the why, right? Like what's going on beyond just the numbers.
Exactly. And, the index It doesn't point fingers. It's not about speculating on, geopolitical motivations or anything. What it does do, though, is paint a more nuanced picture. It's not just about the number of cyber attacks coming from a specific country. It makes you ask, why this? Why here?
Right, the bigger context. So why might Russia top the list then? What insights can we get from this?
Well, for one, Russia has a long history of, technological prowess.
Right.
But you combine that with a very complex geopolitical situation, well, it creates, I'd say, a unique breeding ground for this type of activity.
A perfect storm in a way.
You could say that.
Mm-hmm.
And while the index doesn't really get into specific reasons for each country's ranking, it does aim to explore those correlations in the future.
Okay, so they're looking at things like
Things like a nation's education level, internet access, GDP, even corruption levels. It's about connecting the dots to see if there are patterns, links that can help us really understand cybercrime, on this global scale.
it's like this giant puzzle, and this index is just the first piece.
Exactly. And by understanding these broader factors, well, we can move beyond simply reacting to cybercrime. We can actually start developing, I think, more proactive solutions.
That's the hope, right? Okay, so we've got this global perspective on where cybercrime is, let's say, flourishing. But let's get down to the nitty-gritty. How are these cybercriminals actually getting their hands on our data? How are they doing it?
And that's where our second source comes in, SentryBay's report on the top Infostealers of 2024.
Right, Infostealers, if I'm remembering correctly, this is all about
Stealing information, just like the name says.
straightforward.
It is. These are like little ninjas, these pieces of malware that sneak onto your device and quietly start siphoning off your valuable data. Passwords, credit card numbers, banking credentials, anything they can get their hands on, really.
Not good. Not good at all. So what's the weapon of choice, would you say, for these data thieves?
Well, according to SentryBay's research, it's keylogging.
Keylog.
By a long shot. 73%. A whopping 73% of the top 15 Infostealer strains of 2024 use keylogging as their primary way in.
Keylogging. It sounds almost too simple, right? Like, is it really that effective? I mean, it's like the digital equivalent of looking over someone's shoulder while they're, I don't know, typing in their PIN at the ATM.
It's more common than you think. Basically, keylogging malware, it records every single keystroke you make.
Oh, wow.
So imagine you're logging into your online banking.
Right, right.
An Infostealer with a keylogger, it's running in the background, it's capturing every letter, every number you type, username, password, everything.
Yikes. So they've basically got your login credentials served to them on a silver platter.
Pretty much. And it's not just banking either. Think about any sensitive information you type. Credit card details on a shopping site, personal messages, anything. It can be compromised.
So keylogging, enemy number one. But what other nasty tricks do these Infostealers have up their sleeves? So keylogging, public enemy number one. But what other nasty tricks do these Infostealers have up their sleeves? Give me the rundown.
Well, SentryBay, they identified 6 other major attack vectors.
Okay, let's hear them.
So you've got screen capture, process injection, clipboard data theft, stealing credentials from, your password stores, web browsers, and then there's spear phishing. And then, of course, there's the keylogging that we talked about.
Right, of course. So let's break some of those down a bit. Screen capture, that sounds, well, pretty self-explanatory. Are they literally just taking screenshots of your screen?
That's it. Simple but effective. They can basically capture anything you see, from confidential documents to your personal photos, all without you ever knowing, really.
And that's bad. Okay, what about process injection? Now that sounds a little more, well, technical.
It is a bit more complex, yeah. Essentially, it's a way for the malware to kind of inject its code into another legitimate process that's already running on your computer.
Sneaky.
Very. Because it's operating in disguise, so to speak, it makes it much harder for security software to detect it.
A wolf in sheep's clothing. Okay, so what about clipboard data? I use the clipboard constantly, probably like most people, I'm sure.
And that's exactly what makes it such a good target. I mean, it's such a basic function, right? You copy, you paste. We do it without even thinking. But these Infostealers, they're watching, and they can grab that sensitive information, passwords, credit card numbers, whenever you copy and paste them.
Okay, now that one's a bit unsettling, I have to say.
It's the little things.
It is the little things. Stealing credentials from password stores and web browsers, that's pretty self-explanatory, I guess.
Yeah, sadly it is. You see, people think they're being safe by using password managers, but, well, these Infostealers, they often have workarounds. They can actually steal your credentials directly from the software itself, or, even the browser.
Wow, okay. And spear phishing, that's all about those, targeted phishing emails, right?
Exactly. It's like phishing, but, well, personalized. Cybercriminals will actually do their research. They'll gather information about you from different sources, and then they craft these very, very convincing emails designed to trick you into, I don't know, clicking a malicious link or just giving up your information willingly.
So it feels like it's a digital minefield out there, and these info stealers have an answer for everything. It can feel kind of overwhelming.
I get it. I really do. But it's not all doom and gloom, I promise. You know, this report from SentryBay, it's not about scaring anyone. It's about awareness. And most importantly, it's about solutions.
Right. They did mention this armored client, something about how it protects against these attacks. So tell me more. How does it work?
Sure, it's basically a type of VDI browser isolation technology. It creates this secure barrier between your data, you know, the important stuff, and these info stealers. So it prevents them from accessing keystrokes, screen captures, clipboard data, all of it.
So it's like wrapping your data in a, I don't know, like a protective bubble that they just can't get through.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. And what's really interesting is that SentryBay's armored client, it's actually the tech behind Citrix app protection. And it's been proven to protect against Infostealer malware for Microsoft AVD and W365 endpoints.
Which, and maybe you need to help me out here because I'm not the most tech-savvy person, but those are.
Sure. Essentially, those are popular platforms for those, you know, virtual desktops and cloud-based workspaces. So if you're using either of those, this technology is a game changer. It adds that extra layer of protection that you really need.
Well, this has been eye-opening, to say the least. It's amazing and a little bit scary how fast technology evolves, both for good and, well, as we've seen, for bad, too. We've gone from this global map of cybercrime to, like, the nuts and bolts of how this malware actually works. I feel like I need to change all my passwords right now.
It can feel overwhelming, yeah. But a little healthy paranoia never hurts.
That's for sure. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap things up. But we want to hear from you. How do you approach online security? Any country's cybercrime focus surprise you? Let us know your thoughts on our social media, and until next time, stay safe online.
This episode of the Endpoints of View podcast has been brought to you by SentryBay, home of the armored client, the world's most advanced endpoint protection. For more information, visit sentrybay.com.